Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Abhi Srivastava. I'm an Associate Vice President at Moody's Digital Economy Group. We are a group of financial risk managers, credit analysts, technologists who look at the entire landscape of digital economy, including digital assets, which are based on blockchain. And like many finance experts here, I was also wondering what can I talk about in a group of technologists and engineers and security experts. Turns out we did have something to talk about. The topic itself might not be something surprising or new, but allow me to add the perspective we get from talking to financial institutions and credit risk managers. So right off the bat, we can all agree that the blockchain ecosystem is fragmented. If we look at this pie chart, which is a result of a research paper we published late last year, we can see that if we look at the DeFi protocols that are housed in different blockchains, the prominent ones, there is a fragmentation. Almost 50% of DeFi protocols, they are on the big three, but if you look at the other 50%, it's distributed everywhere. Now, the problem here is that because of the lack of interoperability, native interoperability between these blockchains, it's difficult for developers, financial institutions, and other stakeholders to develop protocols or applications that can natively talk. Now that creates a situation where the blockchain world becomes siloed and a multi-chain system where communication is not happening. So from a financial perspective, we need interoperability. So when Moody's talked to financial institutions, we very quickly realized that that is one of the stumbling blocks when it comes to wider adoption of blockchain technology by financial institutions. And there are three major themes that emerged from our discussions. First of all, there is indeed a lack of interoperability, and it's one of the 4 key hurdles we identified at Moody's when it comes to the adoption of blockchains. The other 3 being lack of reliable digital cash options, and we keep talking of tokenized deposits, CBDCs as being that alternative. For now, stable coins are playing that part, but we have seen that when it comes to situations of economic stress, stable coins have not been able to maintain their peg. So that's second. Then we have the problem of regulatory uncertainty. In the morning, we had some conversation about that. And then finally, the technological risks that come with new technology. And we are doing a lot of job in educating and talking to important managers, stakeholders in financial institutions, and trying to do our job there. So, then interoperability solutions can enable financial institutions to connect to multiple types of blockchain networks. Somebody here mentioned that, let's say we are talking of an application that is trying to leverage the security that comes with a truly decentralized public blockchain network with the privacy that comes with a private permission blockchain network. So that at the moment is not happening. Then finally, the silver lining is that industry has realized that there is a need of more interoperability solutions, and we are seeing initiatives happening. There are layer 0 solutions like IBC, Polkadot that's there. Recently, one of the things that happened is around 22 major financial institutions, including banks, insurance companies, and exchanges, came together to test the Canton network, which is basically a system where interoperability is being allowed for financial institutions, individual blockchains, while keeping privacy intact. So the solutions are coming up, but the problem is they have still not been tested in various situations. The scalability is still something that is hampering it. So meanwhile, we are working with cross-chain bridges, which are probably one of the most popular solutions out there when it comes to the question of interoperability. Now, I don't need to explain what is a cross-chain bridge to this crowd, but in a very brief way, it's just like a mechanism to allow two blockchain networks to transfer assets, to communicate with each other. In typical cross-chain bridge transaction, what happens is, if you start from the right, top right, if a user on blockchain 1 needs to transfer an asset to blockchain 2, it has to go through the smart contract of the cross-chain bridge, which on one end locks this asset, sends a signal to the other side, the smart contract on the other side mints the wrapped asset, and on our way back, that wrapped asset is burned and the locked asset is released on blockchain 1, if you look at the complete cycle. Now, off the bat, one can realize that this is a multi-step process, and it is opening up a lot of scope for malafide attackers to attack this system, and that is exactly, unfortunately, what happened. So 2002 was a particularly bad year. I know Fraser talked about the Ronin hack. $600 billion, one hack. In fact, if you look at the two major hacks that happened that year, the numbers somewhere, they were more than $1 billion for just two hacks. And that creates some problems because more than the loss of money, it creates this reputational issue for the industry. And like I mentioned, the lack of education plus the hacks, suddenly it becomes an untouchable technology. So that's one problem. The other problem is small bridges just lose all their value. One hack and they get decimated. Smaller blockchains suffer because when the hack happens, these smaller blockchains depend on these bridges for the traffic and to develop apps on them, to attract more developers on them. And suddenly these bridges, once they are down, it impacts smaller blockchains. So it has a domino effect, a negative domino effect on the entire ecosystem. This chart just basically presents the share of the bridge-related hacks in 2022 compared to other. In fact, in dollar terms, to give another number, an average bridge-related hack was 11 times than a non-bridge-related hack. The numbers did come down in 2023, but the issue still remains. So we at Moody started researching what was causing this thing. We talked to industry experts like yourself, engineers and technologists, and what we found out is the problem lies, I'm sorry about the overlap there. The problem lies with the structural nature of, the structure of the bridges have some problems. So first off, let's talk about the centralized bridges, like the Ronin bridge, where Fraser rightly pointed out, 5 out of 9 validators got compromised, the bridge was done. So the centralized nature, there are single entities, trusted third parties, which are validating these transactions. Once those validators are compromised, the bridge is compromised. So that's point number one. Then there are decentralized bridges, which claim to be more transparent, resilient to single points of failure, but they have their own issues. Smart contract bugs. There are issues with the underlying blockchain itself on which they are built. And then finally, the mechanism I talked about, the lock, mint, and burn mechanism, that is a problem because it's a multi-step process. It opens up multiple points of attack. Then there are operational challenges we discovered. There is an inadequate implementation of existing security protocols. Audit drift was another thing that was noticed. In fact, what happens is one of the attacks that happened was on Nomad Bridge during a regular I think, yeah, I'm almost at time. During a regular checkup, a bug got introduced. It was never discovered. The attackers used it. And finally, the industry-wide code standards still leave some place for human errors. What we have seen is smart contracts are often open source, and hackers can find these bugs. Unless the industry comes up with a standard to develop these codes and implement them, the problem is still going to be there. So in sum, we are working with cross-chain bridges. They have their advantages, and they are helping the ecosystem develop, but there are some very real risks that need to be dealt with if we really want the ecosystem to take off in an institutional way. Thank you so much for your time.